Good morning. Welcome to the Great Debates. I'm Jameet Billingsley, Managing Director of Surgical Services with Advantage Support Services.
And I'm Angela Llewellyn, the Development and Research Director for Advantage Support Services. And I am so excited about our new premise, the gray debate for the gray areas, Jameed.
So the premise is, you've heard the great debates. This is the great debates. We know the black and white stuff at ST79, ARN, and AST, but there's other areas that are not spelled out. And a lot of times we don't talk about them. We don't talk about them at conventions or shows or whatever. We just talk about them in the locker room or in the break room. And so we want to give a forum for end users, from staff members all the way up to directors, to talk about and throw out questions and stuff like that. And so we're starting off with the announcement that the Joint Commission is starting surveys back. Let me kick it over to Angie. She's the expert here.
There's an article we found on a Facebook and LinkedIn group, and it was written by Robert Campbell. He wrote what are they looking for? What are they not looking for the Joint Commission? They're going to start back in June, and there's a lot of controversy and about them coming back. Why are they coming back? We've broken all these rules during, the COVID and the pandemic, the shutdown. We didn't have enough staff. We didn't have time to get ready for this or that for them to come back. And now they're going to start back again. But in his article, Jameed, and on the website that's posted here, jointcommission.org/COVID-19, you can go to it, or the viewers can go to it and specifically kind of see what are they going to look for and what are they not going to look for. So far they're coming back, but it's not retroactive in the sense that when we didn't have IFUs for reprocessing masks and different things like that, we're not going to get dinged for things like that. What they say, Jameed, they're going to come back for is ITM, or inspection, testing, and maintenance of equipment and utilities. And so that's some of what they're going to do. They are looking for safe practice, within the guidelines and what the standards are. If we're way out left or right, we could get dinged for that in a department, but how are we within the guidelines? Inspection, quality control, decontamination the proper way, things we should be doing anyway. But I don't think it's a focus, and I don't think they're going to ding people really for things that really were happening that was off the track, sort of, during the shutdown.
And I get that. I read the article, great find, and it did talk about kind of a series of asterisks, but here's the reality of kind of how it was being on the front lines and trying to get through it. We could have identified opportunities and not been able to do anything about it. Like if the opportunity required a third party to come in and fix something, or if it was a major opportunity, or even if it required some partnering with IP to get some things done, to get some processes changed, getting policies updated sounds easy, but when you haven't had a policy group meeting during this whole time, how do you get those updated? And so, because I think part of it a little bit feels unfair from this perspective. In April, CMS came out and said hospitals can apply for waivers of all inspections for the rest of the year, right? So we helped our clients write waivers for those inspections, right? So and when I was reading the article, it seemed to tiptoe around, if I got a waiver, are you still coming? The other question that's not answered is, are we going to try to do all 12 months worth of inspections in this 6 months period? So there's a couple of questions, but and I get that the Joint Commission has their mission and they're trying to do. The funny thing is, there's almost no information from DMV. DMV hasn't really said anything. Joint Commission has at least been communicating. DMV hasn't really said anything. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, maybe reach out to the DMV and find out exactly what's going to happen. They might be following suit of another accreditation body. I think it's going to come down to CMS, and, it's really going to come down to what their restrictions and what their evaluations are focused on. That's what I mean, that's what I think. I think there's more information that we could get probably from the listeners and the people that are viewing this video. We really want their input on, if I'm a technician in decontam or an assembly or sterilizer, what do I need to know? What are the things I need to get ready for? And how can this debate relieve some of the anxiety and stress I might have? Because it's kind of scary that Joint Commission is coming back. It really is. I mean, it's always kind of scary if you're not prepared. Most people know they're not prepared or not, and so they get a lot of anxiety. But now it's heightened significantly.
I think even places that are quote unquote prepared, it's got to be a nerve-wracking thing to find out or hear or feel like you're in your window. And some people's windows were at the beginning of this year. So if I was in my window in April, May, and June, what does that mean for me right now, today? So
I'm going to tell you, there's a partner that we have in Florida, and Joint Commission is in the building yesterday.
Oh, wow. So
I
would love to get some feedback on kind of how that survey went. I would love to get some feedback from our viewers of how are you preparing regardless of where your window is. And we're here to help. We're here to help, but we're also here to learn. So we want to hear what you think about it. Do you think it's fair? And the other thing is, we welcome other people. So don't be afraid to comment below. And if you bring up a topic, we're not going to debate your topic. We're going to bring you on the show, and you're going to debate your topic. So we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your feedback on getting ready for the survey. Which things do you need help with, and how can we provide some help? How can we as a community help each other? One of the things that happens is one hospital is never going to close another hospital. So when I was operational, I would always share what was going on with my brother and sister hospitals, not even in my system, in the area, because I can't make sure that every accident in my family goes to my hospital. Right?
That's right.
So everybody needs to be practicing.
Networking is so important, and
it is.
Tell your story. People have a story to tell. You should tell your story. It's education for all of us. It's a great way to network, to come and tell your story.
We put an article together at the beginning of COVID, like the 10 things that you can do to get ready. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, even it felt like at one point we were almost out of it, but I think the news is telling us, it's not a second wave. We're still in the first wave.
That's right.
So regardless of what's going on at your particular hospital, there are things that you could be getting ready educational wise, like the internal things that you can do without outside help. But I know that there's some things to get ready for a survey that you can't do yourself. And that's where you need to make sure that you're communicating with your infection prevention. If you have an accreditation readiness department, a quality department, how can you make sure that you are prepared for the things that you can't do? It's too late to get critical water. It's too late to do some of the bigger projects. So what are we going to do? So that's kind of my
well, even if we put a plan together, if I'm the manager or supervisor or lead in a sterile processing department, at least I can identify them. And when an accreditation body comes in, Joint Commission or anyone else, we can at least say we've identified these things. I mean, a lot of times when we're teaching, right, when we're doing education or staffing in a department, we are teaching them that you are the experts. If you're in sterile processing, you are the experts for instrumentation, and this is your house. And so when accreditors come in, invite them in, show them around, give them a tour, and show them these are the things we've identified and this is our plan of action to correct these items. What are we going to do to move forward? Joint Commission really wants us as a department to be great, right? A department of excellence. And so their goal is not to shut us down. Their goal is to increase the standard of care for the patients we serve in our community. It's so important what they do. And kudos to them, right? It shouldn't be a fear factor. We should really approach any audit or assessment or evaluation as welcome. We want to learn. To be a continual learner is so important, especially in sterile processing.
I agree. And one of the biggest things that you can start doing that doesn't cost you $1 million is self-surveying. Start going
That's
around,
right.
start doing your own survey.
That's right.
Because at some point your eyes just kind of gloss over as a manager or director or even supervisor.
That's
or
right.
even an IP. So get somebody else. Let some of the staff members do it. Let the guy who was always in decon do it. Get your OR partners involved, whether it's surge techs, OR nurses, management, whoever. Get infection prevention involved. Get EVS in there, because some of the stuff, it's easier to say, hey, this is not being cleaned correctly, or what have you. Get facilities in there. If facilities can come around and do some rounds with you, then some of the things that you've been waiting months and months to get fixed may be fixed earlier.
And we've spoken on that, haven't we, Jamid, in a lot of chapter meetings? We have a whole presentation, step by step by step, how to self-audit. And so if you're in a ISHM chapter, or you have a small group of sister hospitals and you need a presentation, we can absolutely help with that. And just kind of give you some guidance of how to do a self-assessment and self-audit. So important. We can come in and help too. But for this debate, I mean, we can veer left and right, but for this, our question is, Joint Commission is coming. What do you think? What do you think?
And are you ready?
Yes, they're in Florida. So, Joint Commission is coming. Are you ready? And how can you get ready? And what can we do to help you? Or as a community and network, tell your story and let's network and help each other. Relieve the anxiety, because they're coming back.
Thank you, Angie, for debating with me. And we look forward to your contributions.
Yes.
We want to see a bunch of comments over here. There's no crazy questions. Just ask, just put your advice, tell your story, ask us questions. We'll answer it. So we look forward to it. And we're looking for that next topic for our next great debate.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Thank you, Jamid.
Thank you, Angie.